your function notation. Stop the video. Okay, so let's make sure that you remember your function notation. So all that's saying is instead of having an x, you're replacing it with a -1. So this becomes 2 over 5 times -1 squared, which is 2 over 5. There's my first answer. I don't know where that extra line is coming from, but we're going to try to fix it. We're going to change colors. So, second one says, in my function, I'm going to have 2 over 5 times 2 over 5 squared. And now that line's not working. Now, I got to do my squaring first, my order of operations. So that's going to become 2 over 5 times 4 over 25. Which then, these reduce down to 5, but I still have a fraction within a fraction. I think some of you would probably take this and do 2 times 5 over 4. Remember, invert and multiply. And 10/4, which reduces down to 5/2, is my solution. Okay, so that was just a little review, function notation, one of the things we talked about yesterday. So today, our goal is that we're going to have to write equations in standard form. We're going to use x and y intercepts, and we're going to have to state whether a function is linear or not. So first thing that I want to do is just remind you of linear equations. You should have seen these in Algebra 1. So, oops. I don't know what just happened to my notes. Okay, sorry about that. So the first thing that we know is something that you guys have a tendency to like an awful lot, and that is slope-intercept form. That is your y equals mx plus b form. Everybody remembers that. Well, this one you use maybe a lot in Algebra 1, but not anymore. Our common or our most used one is going to become point slope form. Y subtract y1 equals m parenthesis x subtract. Oh, don't know what that keeps doing to me. X subtract x1. Okay. Now, I also want to put in here the x1 y1 is a point. Okay, just so you know, that's why it's called point slope form. Standard form. I usually refer to standard form as the pretty form. It's pretty because ax plus by is going to equal c is what it looks like. I have no idea why this is moving. I am not even working on the computer right now. I am working completely off of something else, and my computer page keeps slashing off. So this is C. Now, this standard form here, it's going to have some rules, and we're going to get to it, but again, I'm going to call this the pretty form. And the reason why we call it the pretty form is because it has a tendency to be everyone look the same. Last one, vertical line. A vertical line is a line that goes up and down. And this is driving me a little nutso. So this vertical line, and that is an x equal some kind of a number. And hopefully you guys remember a horizontal line, lines that go left and right. That is going to be a y equals some number. Okay, so we need to know a linear function is an ordered pair that satisfies a linear equation. Okay, yeah, but here, let's make some easy rules for you to see what's going to happen. Rule 1, for something to be linear, there are x values are no bigger than to the first power. So x values no larger than to the first power. Okay, sorry. This is not writing real well, but we're going to get through this. Second rule, let's change colors so it can see a little different. And for the second rule, there are no x values in the denominator. Okay, so I'm looking, these are yes or no's. Is this a function? Well, first of all, from yesterday, I remember that this could be written as y equals 2x plus 7. So from past classes, is this a line? Yes, it is. It is a linear function. So second one, this has an x in the bottom. That is rule number 2. Can't have this. So no, it is not a linear function. For the third one, it has an x squared in it. That is rule number 1. So no, this is not linear. And the last example, before we turn the page, it is just g equals 10. Remember, that would be y equals 10 if I changed that g of x into y. That is a horizontal line, so yes, it would be linear. So linear is just looking at those rules. On to the fun stuff. Next page. For the next page, it asks us to put things in standard form. So you guys need to remember that it is in the form ax plus by equals c. Okay, now this would be easy. You need to remember c is just a number, a normal number. No x's, no y's have done it. Normal number. Okay, so A's, B's, C's with the greatest factor of 1. So basically that says rule 1 for this, you have no fractions allowed. No fractions allowed. Rule 2 for this is that, I'm going to change colors so we can color code some of our notes. For the second one, it says A must always be positive. Rule 2 is that x values positive. Okay. And rule 3, A and B are not both 0. So that rule is kind of a rule that just basically makes sense that if they're both 0, it's not going to be there. I need to tell you that I always want x and y on the left side. And finally, in green, fourth rule, sometimes you're going to be asked to simplify if possible. If everything is reduced by 2, simplify if possible. Okay, so those are the 4 rules that we're going to have. So for number 1, it gives me this equation and it asks me to write the following in standard form. Identify my A, my B, and my C. Okay, so the first thing, no fractions allowed. Step 1, done. Number 1, done, check. Step 2, x values are positive. Well, I also see step 3, x and y have got to be on the left side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to subtract 9x from each side, because I need it to move that over there, and I'm left with negative 9x plus 4y plus 5 equals nothing on this side. This 5 needs to be on the other side. Look at the format. So I'm moving the 5 to the other side. So negative 9x plus 4y is going to equal negative 5. Again with the scribbly thing. And my tools just went away. Okay. I am at a loss. I don't know what to do. Okay, there we go. Don't know what that is up here. We're going to turn that off. Got it off. All I wanted to do was erase this little scribble here and make this turn into a negative 5. Last rule that we need to look at, we said x values must be positive. So I need to multiply everything through by negative 1 to make that positive. So this becomes a positive 9x minus a 4y would equal positive 5. Okay, it also asked us to identify the a, the b, the c. So when I'm looking at this, the 9 is my a, the negative 4 is my b, and the 5 is my c. Okay, so I tried to do it step by step. Let's take a look at this next one. The 8's got to move over, so I'm going to subtract 8x from each side, and I get negative 8x plus 2y equals negative 12. Negative can't be at the front. So move that, multiply that by negative 1, and I end up with 8x minus 2y equals 12. Okay, so I would love to say I'm done, but remember that reduce? Do you see divisible by 2, divisible by 2, and divisible by 2? Everything's divisible by 2, so my final equation would become 4x minus y would equal 6. So my a value becomes the 4, my b value becomes a negative 1, and my c value becomes 6. Okay, so finally, we're going to use that fraction stuff that we talked about last chapter. Woo-woo! And with that stuff, I have to find my LCD first. So with letter C, my LCD is 20. So I'm going to multiply everything by 20, and by 20. And when I do that, I come up with 20x equals negative, 20 and the 5 reduce. That would be 8y plus, the 4 and the 20 reduce, 15. Okay, so now move the 8y over. 20x plus 8y is going to equal 15. There is no number that 28 and 15 reduce by, so my a value is 20, my b value is 8, and my c value is 15. Now, this is one that a lot of you had wrong on the test. We got to get rid of this fraction. This whole side here is multiplied by 3. So we got to do that. That means this whole side here also is multiplied by 3. And when I do that, the 3's cancel. I'm left with negative 2x plus 3 equals. And here the 3 is distributed to both. And I end up with 36y minus 9. Okay, so my negative 2x minus my 36y is going to equal a negative 12. I am going to divide everything this time, not just by 2, but I'm going to divide by negative 2. And by dividing by negative 2, am I going to make that x positive? And I'm left with x plus, how many times does that go in there? 18y would equal positive 6. And just so I can label it, my a is 1. My b is 18, and my c is 6. Okay, so that's putting things into standard form. We use that a lot. So get used to it, and you're going to be expected to know your different forms. So learn it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about graphing. And an x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis, where graph crosses x-axis. Okay, so the next one, axis. For the y-intercept, it's where the graph crosses or touches the y-axis. Graph touches. Saying it just a little differently to help you guys visualize the y-axis. Okay, we got it. So, since 2 points determine that, remember for an x-intercept, it would be in the form some number comma 0. That would be an x-intercept. For a y-intercept, it would be 0 comma some y value. Okay, and again, I am making the oopsies right now, and I apologize. If you didn't want a number in there, it's just that blank that's going to be there. Okay, so now how to find an x-intercept. In proper form, you let y equal 0 and solve for x. That is how you find a y-intercept. To find an x-intercept, I let y equal 0 and solve for x. To find my y-intercept, I let x equal 0 and solve for y. Okay, now that is the true method. We use something called the cover-up method, and we're going to use a pencil, and we are going to use a pencil, cover up the variable not solving for. Okay, so now let's put this to good use. Let's finish this graph up and be done with this. Okay, so I am going to show you mathematically x-intercept. So I'm going to do this in red for my x-intercept. And I'm labeling it. I technically am going to let y equal 0. So I get 2x minus 4 times 0 plus 8 equals 0. 2x plus 8 equals 0. 2x is going to equal negative 8. X is going to equal negative 4. Okay. X-intercept on my x-axis at negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I put a little dot. So now I'm going to change colors. And now I'm going to do the y-intercept. And for the y-intercept, I let x equal 0. So 2 times 0 minus 4y plus 8 equals 0. Notice I went back to the original equation. So negative 4y plus 8 equals 0. So negative 4y is going to equal negative 8. Y is going to equal 2. So on the y-axis, I go to where y is 2. I grab a straight edge, which is hard to use on this thing. So you've got to straight, and graph the line. Okay, so now I want you to think of cover-up method. If I covered up the y, can you see how you would get this equation 2x plus 8 equals 0? If I covered up the x, do you see you'd get 4y? That's cover-up method. And I get it that some of you guys use cover-up method. I'm okay with that. So let's take a look at letter B. In fact, I would like you to try it on your own. Come back just to check your answer. So turn off the video, try this, see what you come up with for an answer. Okay, you're back. So y value is 0, plugged it in. I end up with negative 2 equals 1/2 x. X is going to equal -4, because please remember, we need to multiply by 2 to get rid of that fraction, and that's how I come up with that. So on my x-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my, that's supposed to be a little dot. Okay, there's my dot. Sorry for the extra squiggle. Again, I'm going to have to fix this. Somebody else used it. Anyway, y-intercept. So I have -6y equals 0 plus 2. -6y equals 2. Y would equal -2/6, which is -1/3. On my y-axis, -1/3 is somewhere in between there. So grab your straight edge, straight, 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 straight. You know what makes a good straight edge? Your ID. Use your ID for that, and that takes care of the graphing. So take a look at your homework for tonight. Good luck, and I will be back tomorrow, and we can take a look at these things. Bye-bye.